This episode of the Palaver Project is brought to you by CraftyGalLiz. CraftyGalLiz, adding a little personal touch to your home decor. Email her at craftygalliz@yahoo.com or subscribe to her Instagram page and see all her wonderful work. That's CraftyGalLiz. CraftyGalLiz. Hello everybody, this is the Palaver Project, a conversational podcast where words are never wasted, no matter how aimless, pointless, or random they may be. I am Michael Rivera.
And I am Thalia Rivera.
And before we go into the topic of the podcast tonight, I want to cover some housekeeping notes. First off, thank you so very much for downloading the last slew of episodes. I hope you enjoy the different tastes of styles in each one, and I look forward to bringing you more in the future. Maybe not 3 in a week, but we'll never know. Also, the response to the merchandise sale was very positive, and I hope to have more designs down the line, as long as time permits. If you are so inclined, please visit our store on TeePublic and grab yourself a shirt or two, maybe a few stickers. Maybe you need a new coffee mug to go with your Palaver Project notebook. Who knows? Quite honestly, your support will help spread the word about the podcast and help it grow. So, thank you in advance. So, as you listeners may already know, my daughter binged on the old anime series Yu-Gi-Oh! And has become a fan of not only the series, but the card game derived from that very same series. And so I have to ask, Thalia, why?
Why? Which one? Why I watched it? Or
Well, let's start. Like, what made you go into Yu-Gi-Oh? Like, what made you start watching Yu-Gi-Oh?
Okay, well, it's because there's this YouTuber called Odd Ones Out. Yeah. I'm going with this somewhere.
What's his real name though?
His real name is James.
James. And he has a YouTube channel called the Odd Ones Out. Okay, and so he talked about Yu-Gi-Oh. I think we mentioned in the last a couple of episodes ago about that. Like he had watched it, and you learned from Yu-Gi-Oh about that. Well, you learned from Yu-Gi-Oh.
I saw him. He quoted something that they said in there, and I was like, oh, like this is funny. I like it. And then I saw it on Netflix. I'm like, isn't this thing I saw from the All Ones Out that I liked? And then I clicked on it. I watched the first episode, and I was like taken by it. And I was like watching it. And I kept watching. I'm like, oh wow! And it just kept getting better and better with every episode. And
then you found out your brother actually had cards. Michael, not really being that interested in card games, but had a couple of cards that he got from one of his classes, and you just went ahead and
just went searching for them.
You took them and you started looking through them, and you got enamored with the fact that you can play this game in real life.
Yeah, because like I was learning step by step how to play the game while watching the series. Like it's like whoa, like it's teaching you how to play while you're watching something entertaining. So I learned how to look at the names of the characters, the levels, the powers. It was like, oh wow. And I was like, so I'm learning something while I'm watching something entertaining. So, and then I remembered Michael had cards, and I was like, I'll go find them, because I remembered how they look, and I remembered how the cards looked on the TV show. I was like, oh, both are the same. I might as well go and check.
I come to think of it, other than Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh really did good in marrying the game with the real life, like the game in the series with the real life game. It really stayed true to it. Like you said, you were learning exactly how to play through the story being told in the show, and it didn't really deviate that much. It's actually the same concept and the rules and stuff. So that's really cool. And as I saw you starting to like it more, and I like this. I like you wanting to play these type of games. So I ended up picking up a deck. We went to what was it, Game Zone or something?
Yeah.
I forget. Over at Lemon Grove, we got a couple more decks. Well, we bought a few decks at Walmart, and then we went over there because we wanted to kind of take a look at the scene there. Anyways, given your devotion to the card game, I realize that you're probably going to start accumulating a significant amount of cards in your deck, and since I'm always a kind of guy who likes to acquiesce to these little fancies of interest that you have, and I'm going to get you guys the cards. If you're show interest, I want to support that interest and make it grow. So to ensure my hard-earned cash doesn't go down the drain, I needed to look for a deck box for you, Thalia, and for myself. Because obviously you need an opponent, and so I had to end up buying cards, and I need a deck box to take care of them. Because
you felt sad for me.
I felt pity. No, when I was growing up, I had just comic book cards, trading cards, and stuff like that, and I would keep them in albums, just like all the baseball cards and basketball cards that were passed down to me by your uncles. I kept them in those binders and those folders in the sleeves. But I noticed that you're going to be playing this game. You need to be mobile with them. You can't be carrying a giant binder around. That's too old school. So a deck box. That's the thing that's in right now. Deck boxes. But I needed to find a deck box for you and me. That's when I remembered the good folks at Sandbox Gaming. Remember a couple of months back, we went to San Diego RocketCon?
Yeah.
And I remember visiting their booth at San Diego RocketCon, and instantly I was impressed with the workmanship and ingenuity behind these customizable boxes. I thought they were so cool. They were so neat. I was just like the way the interlocking system and the inserts and the look of it. It had a really cool aesthetic. So I shot a message through Instagram and I ordered the boxes. Then they asked me if I would like to laser etch a logo on the boxes. I was like, whoa! I had no idea they would even do that. And so obviously I said yes, and now Thalia and I have our very own Palaver Project deck boxes for everyone to see whenever we go battle.
Yay! Just gonna show them off to people. Be like, hey, we're part of the Palaver Project. Do you see it on my box?
We're a cool card group now. Yeah. Not only a podcast, we're a cool card group.
Who wants to join us in playing Yu-Gi-Oh?
So coming up next will be my conversation with Bracken, one of the co-founders of Sandbox Gaming. And we sit down and because he actually personally delivered these to us. We met at Ease Games over up in Miramar, and I have to give a shout out to At Ease Games. I mean, it's a huge place. It's got everything there.
They also got tournaments there. They have what is it called? Kid Magic, where they teach kids how to play the game Magic. If you guys ever heard of it, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh, but Magic. Right.
You gotta thank Zoe for letting us hang out there and not saying, it was really cool that we were able to do the interview there. It was the first time I met with Bracken in person, and we sat down, we shoot the breeze for a little bit, talking about these customizable wood deck boxes that they're producing. And I'm going to have a few photos up of the deck boxes with the logo etched on the side, which, man, it was just a beautiful touch. It was so cool. I still can't get over that. We talk about the company and their role in the world of card and board gaming. And that's all coming up next. So stick around, enjoy, and also enjoy the following message straight from the world of Numenera. Enjoy.
This is a Ninth World Journal. A careless experiment with a teleportation device has left me stranded in random places throughout the Ninth World. While trying to survive in these strange lands, I must find a way to reverse my condition.
A Ninth World Journal is a science fantasy audio drama podcast. Subscribe to listen or visit ninthworldjournal.com.
I still think this is so cool.
Thank you.
This is really awesome.
Yeah.
So okay, what I'm holding in my hand right now is a deck box, but not just any deck box. This thing is beautiful. It's like a beautiful set. It's you gotta tell me about it. You gotta tell me more about this thing, because it's not. A lot of the deck boxes I see, they're plastic, right?
Plastic with little folders.
Plastic, so they have nice little colors. They're bright. They're cool. They're cool for the basic stuff. But this one has style.
Yeah.
This one has style. This is unique to its own. What made you guys come up with sandbox gaming in these wood deck boxes?
Yeah, so it actually kind of started in a different direction, and we've definitely branched out into a whole lot of areas right now. I'm a big board gamer. It's always kind of been one of my hobbies. I got into it in college, 10 years ago. Just loved playing video games, but I loved just kind of actually sitting around table playing board games a lot more. A lot of my roommates got into it as well, and that was just kind of how we spent a lot of our time. So I just slowly over time have amassed a large collection of board games. Recently, my wife and I moved back out here to California. When we moved out here, my sister and her husband lived out here, and a lot of their friends. My sister invited us over one night for a game night at their house, and their friend Jimmy was there. I pulled out one of my games, opening all the Ziploc bags, taking off all the rubber bands, setting everything up. And we were just kind of talking about how I was like, oh yeah, you've heard of this company, they do these really cool wooden inserts, but they're all like super custom to certain games. So like, it's really cool if you have one of those 50, 60 games they make the custom inserts for, but there's thousands and thousands of other games in the world, a lot of which I own, that don't have that option. And so our buddy Jimmy, who was there, who's an engineer by trade, was like, well, I actually could probably come up with some cool little designs to make easier inserts for these other games. His wife has a little at-home business where she cuts out acrylics and things like that. So they already had a laser machine, a whole little setup at his place.
Oh, so kind of like crafts.
Yeah.
She was doing crafts at home. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so Jimmy's like, well, hey, I could use the same program she uses for her acrylics to design some wooden, boxes, inserts, card holders, deck holders, things like that. And we come up with some cool ideas that wouldn't be specific to a single game, but almost like a full modular system, where you just pick the pieces you need to help organize that game, and it just evolved from there.
Right, because every card game is different.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, my daughter and I, we play Yu-Gi-Oh, so it's a pretty straightforward. Just the cards. We probably need a die and some tokens for the counters. But there's a lot more to other games. I mean, for example, Warhammers. I want one XCOM.
Yeah.
I mean, those ones they have a lot more to them, and you can't just all put them in one big box and just you don't want it to get messed up.
Exactly.
You care for your cards. You care because you put a lot of money into it.
And you want them to last longer too, right?
Right.
Obviously, when you play games, they're going to get worn out. You don't want them to be stored and get jumbled around and get messed up as well.
Right.
And so we kind of started brainstorming and came up with this really cool system that we decided, let's take it to Kickstarter. Let's give it a shot, throw it out in the world, kind of see what the general consensus is. I guess more like a proof of concept. We wanted to hear what people would say about it. We did successful on that. We doubled the goal we were looking for in terms of that, deliver that stuff pretty quickly. And then from there, started kind of doing the local circuit of board game conventions, toy and comic conventions as well, because the hobbies worlds kind of overlap in those regards. And that very first convention we went to, we're thinking man, why we're only limiting ourselves to board games? The world of card gaming is huge as well.
Yeah.
Accessories for games, things like that. So we quickly started drawing out these designs for these deck boxes. Standard 100 card format for popular games like Magic, things like that. And so this is the idea we came up with. And then, of course, our engineer friend Jimmy, being the genius he is, took it one step further and actually built a locking mechanism for this box.
Yeah, and I've just been playing around with this, and it's really it's so useful.
Yeah,
it's really useful. So it's going to be easier to transport and carry around, and it's not going to open on you. This is a really safe method. It's a 2-lock system. It's a 2-lock system where one's horizontal, one's vertical locks, and this is really well designed. This is all Jimmy here.
Yeah, Jimmy's the one who designed all this.
So he had this in his head for a while.
Yeah.
He must. I mean, this was. I mean, how long did it take from conception to the first prototype being made?
For the deck box?
Yeah.
He, as the mad scientist he kind of is, it was a matter of, we were talking about it one day. The next morning, he sent us some cut files. He was like, "Hey, this is my idea." And he was just like, "Did you even sleep last night? Like, what did you do, man?" And then this was born, and we were all just blown away by the simplicity of it. I guess it'd be kind of cool if I had like an unbuilt one so you could see the locking mechanism inside. Super simple. It's just a little L bar and kind of a T, and so when the T goes up and the L bar goes underneath it, it gives it that so it can't fall back
and
down.
That's why at first I was trying to unlock it from the top to the down, and I was like, "Oh, I can't get this thing."
Yeah,
to
you
go.
have to do it.
But
in
it's from the bottom
order.
up. There's a system. And I like that.
Yeah,
I really do. This is
so then when
cool.
you slide it out of the way, it can drop down, and then it unlocks that.
Yeah, and it's it just doesn't really take any space. It's very thin if you think about it. I mean, you don't lose space to put your cards in.
Right.
That's what I like about it too. It's really utilizing the dimensions well, and now the material.
Yes.
What made you guys go with the wood material? It was just because it's the easiest. It'd be like the easiest. Because I mean, you guys hit something here. Like I don't know if it was just because of it was something like convenient, something easy, but just the look of it is so appealing.
Yeah, there's just something about a good fresh cut of wood that just feels nice. It even smells nice. It's just you have something nice in hand. Obviously, it's 1/8 inch Baltic birch, which is a pretty standard thin plywood for lots of other crafts or projects that use things like this. So it's very easily accessible crafting wood, and it also they make them in sheets that fit perfectly into laser cutter machines like the ones we have, and so it just was very easy. Like, hey guys, this is kind of the one we should use.
Right.
It's because it's the one that the whole business world that uses this for their designs. Like Broken Token, for instance, they're a very large board game insert company. They're one of the ones that does what they do. They do it amazingly well. We're not out here trying to compete with them and step on their toes because they're the ones who do the customized stuff, right?
Right.
And that was kind of where like, hey, we started kind of thinking like what made them successful, and that's where we kind of were able to land on this product of wood because that was what they've been using. It's been proven to work.
Oh, compared to them though, what has you sticking out? What would you say is unique about your company?
Yeah, so that's the big question we get a lot. It's like, hey, cool. What differentiates you two? So, like I said, the world of board gaming is where a lot of this started. A lot of these ideas started, and they do make customized wood inserts for those games. But again, if you go to their catalog online, they've got about I'm trying to say somewhere in the range of 80 games, right? Very popular games out in the world, but it's only 80 games. Well, that's cool. What if I own 50 other games that they don't cover with their system? You can cover with our systems. It's just modular. It's not specifically designed. They're very I'm trying to think. I think I have some in my car. I could actually even run out and grab some if
we can go. You want to go in and compare?
Kind of just show you what those look like, and maybe you can get an idea of what I'm talking about as well.
Right, we can do that.
But they're very just like they're like little boxes and almost like bars that have little inserts where you can just drop something that holds 150 cards, drop something that's like a little drawer that holds a bunch of tokens. That way you're just basically designing what you want to design.
And
almost like an a la carte menu, if you will, of pieces you want to use to store that game.
Just recently we made an order with you guys, and we purchased 2 deck boxes. One a standard deck box, the other one with the drawer. And I think the drawer is, like I said, it's just a great space saver, and it's right for what I need it to be.
Yeah.
And you guys have so many different variations to the product, and that's I feel like you are catering to all games out there.
Yeah, we don't want to limit the games that people can and can't organize. That's kind of a tough picture to see, but so all these little boxes, they're all the same like unit size, and so I could pull out that one that holds a bunch of cards and instead drop something in this little drawer that holds tokens.
Yeah.
And so you kind of design how you want it to be. So if you have a game that's like 1,000 cards, right, buy a bunch of the card inserts. If you have a game that's all just tokens, buy a bunch of the drawers that hold tokens. things of that nature.
And do you guys, in terms, like, do you guys go like with standard depth in your?
So we have a standard depth that we work with. It's a 2 and an 1/8 inch.
How many cards do on each insert then?
Each one of our gaming inserts, so different from these deck boxes,
Right.
Holds around 140 cards if they're not sleeved. We do accommodate for sleeved cards in all of our products because we know if you're paying money to protect your games, you're probably paying money to
You're going
sleeve
that
cards
extra
as well.
step, right?
Right. And so we definitely have designed them as well to fit sleeved cards. If you sleeve your cards, obviously you're losing some of that space. I'd say roughly from 140 unsleeved to about 90 sleeved cards in each of those containers. In our deck boxes, we have designed them for 100 sleeved cards because we know, like I said, popular formats like Commander and Magic, things like that, you need a 100 card deck. And so these boxes will hold 100 cards that are sleeved.
Oh, awesome! That's just awesome.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you guys been in business? How long have you guys been? Like, you started as a Kickstarter, right?
That was kind of our little like proof of concept moment.
Right.
So spring of last year was when we had that game night where our buddy and we started talking about, hey, we can use a lot of our expertise, our knowledge in certain areas, and maybe see if we got something here. And so our actual Kickstarter went to Kickstarter fall of last year. So I think September-ish of last year. So we're still new. We're still the baby on the block, trying to get the things out there. But I think we're definitely onto something with the unique approach that we're offering to, board game, card game protection. And to that, we actually are in the middle of designing a whole new line of products that we're going to hope to, again, go through Kickstarter with here at the end of this year.
Are we talking about killer bunnies?
So that was actually cool, and that was actually just a fun project that we had on the side. So one of the conventions here in town we went to, the booth next to us was a board game, or card game I should say, called Killer Bunnies. This is a card game that a lot of people in the board game, card game world are familiar with because they've been around for 30 years. They were at the booth next to us. Just through chance of chatting with them over the 2 days we were there, we actually built a pretty good friendship with them. They invited us over to come play the game at their house with the designers, to let us say, hey, come over and test these new expansions we're working on. Just a really fun relationship that we built with them. And in that process, we approached them and said, hey, your game has 20 expansions at this point. How do you store it all? And then it was just a natural progression of discussion of how we said, hey, we can work together. And so we kind of collaborated with them to come up with this big idea to basically build just a big box that you can store every single thing that this game offers now. And that's the Bunny Box that I think you're referencing. That's currently on Kickstarter in collaboration with them. It's been really successful for us at the moment.
It's been really important to be able to kind of develop like a strong communication with your base, with your consumer base.
Yeah.
Especially since you guys are local right now. But and like I've been watching looking at your Instagram. You guys are really like putting your all in this.
Yeah, we're grinding there.
Yeah. And this isn't like a full-time job, right? This is like you guys have your day jobs, and then you guys
we
put
all have our day jobs, and this is our night jobs.
I like how you guys have like taken upon your roles. Like you're more the knowledge based man.
Yeah, I'm the guy who brought the games. I'm the one who, when people ask how does this work, I'm the one who knows the games, right? Like that's where my hobby, my love has been for a long, long time.
Right.
And so
yeah, and then there's Alan. Alan, and he works with the numbers.
Yep, he's an accountant.
Right.
So he naturally fit into the role of
and then,
kind of running the finances of the company.
And then we've already covered Jimmy. Jimmy's like the design man. He's the guy who makes it.
He's an engineer. So.
And then you have Allison and Chelsea helping out as well. And they handle the websites and the social media.
Yeah,
aspect.
so we got 3 other people as well. So Chelsea's my wife. She kind of helped us kind of get some things off the ground. She does some editing on the side as well, so she kind of makes sure we're not doing too many egregious spelling errors or grammatical errors when we're putting things out there. Allison is my sister, so Alan's wife, and she's our social media. She's the one who blasts everything out to social media. That's where she helps us out. And then Alan's twin brother Luke, he does marketing for the Washington Capitals, Washington Wizards, and so we've been able to kind of tap into his marketing know-how and he's able to help us keep the website updated, keep things going like that.
That's a great get. That is a great get right there. And
just our little personal web of people we know that are family and friends. We've been able to cover a lot of the bases that has been just perfect for what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to see your booth at RocketCon.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I wanted to reach out sooner.
Yeah.
But I was trying to find the right thing, like timing to do it.
Uh-huh.
And when I saw it there, I was already amazed by just first the presentation. Mm-hmm. And the way the locking mechanisms work.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's also like locally based, it's kind of it's something that I, you want to lean more towards and give support to those they're starting up, and I really think this is cool. And then the finishing touch is the etch, the etching.
It's a cool one.
Your
logo fits it perfectly.
My logo on there, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I still look at it, I'm like, wow.
Right.
Wow, it makes me feel like I'm going somewhere.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
we're glad you like that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys exist.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys are here and you guys are filling that void. And this is something definitely I can recommend to my pals.
Yeah.
There are folks who some of them play Warhammer, some play Magic. So they're gonna need the deck box. I don't know if they're rubber banding it right now, but I know they got something. But I don't think they got anything like this. And this is so San Diego.
Yeah.
You don't like that's. I think that's what it is. It's just so San Diego. It fits just our style. Mm-hmm. So it's
cool. And like you said, that you got friends who play Warhammer. I'm a big Warhammer 40K player myself. I play at this store we're currently sitting in the league.
Yeah,
store.
we're at East Games, by the way. Let's give them a shout out because they haven't kicked us out.
They're a great store. Yeah, I play here quite often for league nights. But for your friends who play Warhammer, who play Dungeons and Dragons, things like that, we are moving in that direction of creating things for those games as well. Army trays, player board trays, or things like that. So we're definitely trying to just, board gaming as a community is an awesome thing. It's become very I don't want to say mainstream, but it's becoming very, it's having a resurgence, I guess, if you will, in today's culture. And so we want to definitely be there to help give everyone the opportunity to, have the fun and play the ways they want, protect their things, and just honestly have a very cool centerpiece. It's really cool to pull that deck box out and put on the table when you're playing a game and just be like, check this out, right?
Some people might be like, hey, what's the if they looked at my Palaver product, they'll be like, hey, what's the Palaver product? I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
It's a great conversation starter.
It's a tool for you now also.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, you're saying there's been a resurgence, and I've become aware of the community now. Uh-huh. Back in my day, like I'm an old man, but back in my day, it was trading cards, but not trading card games. Like I used to collect the comic book cards, the Marvel, what was it called? The different various Marvel cards, the Marvel Masterpieces. That's it.
There you go.
Marvel Masterpieces, and I used to collect them. We take them to school. We take our big book out and we just trade them here and there. Little did I know there was a trading card game community going on. I wasn't plugged in until later on as an adult. Mm-hmm. And I have a daughter. She's 12 years old, and she's an avid Yu-Gi-Oh fan, and she's into trading card games. So the other day we decided to go and check out one of these tournaments, and we'll check out one of the stores before the tournament started because we wanted to kind of see how people played. Mm-hmm. And the community is a lot adult-based. Do you notice that too?
Yeah.
I guess it would be really cool if we could find ways to get the kids in there, because that's going to be the next. I think that's going to be your next potential. That's your consumer there.
Right.
Eventually. So Pokemon's big right now, and the Pokemon's got a trading card game. Yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh still gets a lot of hits because of thanks to Netflix.
Yeah.
So that's how my daughter figured it out. And that's what that once she was getting into it, she got over 200 cards, and she's like, well, she's probably near 200. She needed a deck box, right. Especially because I'm paying for
you want them to last.
I want them to last, and that's what's the time. Great timing.
Yeah.
So I think that's where its timing comes in. But I guess what my ramble is basically is just, do you see with your just as you get more and more involved into the scene, the ratio between adult gamers, card gamers, and kids card gamers, like juveniles, anybody under let's say 17 and under. What do you think the ratio would be there?
At least coming to game stores a lot. I rarely, honestly, see the younger kids coming here to play. Now, I don't know if that's because they just don't have a way to drive over here to play in these leagues. They don't have the extra spending money to come here and to buy the cards and just sit here and play with them. I feel like there are a lot of factors behind that. At least in these organized leagues, it definitely is a lot of people our age,
right,
who may have been into it when we were kids. Now that we're older, have a little more expendable income, and it's more of a something that we can kind of get back into, knowing that there's a group of like-minded people.
Right.
We have a place to congregate and do that.
Yeah, I think the
So I'm sure there's factors to it.
yeah. You're right. Accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
See, back when I was a kid, I was able to ride my bike to the nearest comic book store and pick up my cards.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. Now you gotta go to the big shopping centers. You may not have that quick of access down to your neighborhood downtown
Right.
Comic book store, and so maybe kids are more stuck with their binge watching cartoons or playing gaming consoles. They're not as social as they
Right.
should be.
Yeah, because I remember for me as a kid, I grew up on a cul-de-sac out here in San Diego. Cul-de-sac as a kid's fantastic, right? Because you have your little end of the street with all your buddies, and you just go out there and play every day. And we all got into Magic as we were kids out there. And because we were little kids, we didn't have a way to get to any store, so it would always be on the weekends, if we could earn a few dollars from doing chores or something, we'd go house to house seeing which, hey, can your mom or dad drive us over to Artifacts? That was the old game store we used to hit up out here that's no longer around. And so then it would just be yeah, sure, we'll take you over there kind of things. They drive us over, get a pack of cards, and they drive us home, right? So we didn't get the opportunity to sit amongst other people that played it. So it was just our little group of
Right.
as friends that our parents would drop us off real quick, grab the cards, take us home, and we would just play in someone's backyard. So yeah, the accessibility was definitely a hard thing as a kid.
Yeah, I hope down the line maybe we can give them more awareness that these kind of games exist and that they can socialize in groups and not have to be stuck in the homes and houses and just on the phone texting and stuff. They can come out here and play, because it really teaches you need to multitask. You need to be on top of your game. You gotta do math while you're playing this game and
quick
stuff.
Problem solving, having to quickly change strategies and move forward with that. Really great problem solving skills,
right?
And also just good social interaction skills, right? When I'm home playing, I still play my video games. I hop on Apex Legends all the time.
Yeah.
I have my headset on and it's random, so I can, I get yelled at all the time for things. It's just man, if you were face to face, you would never say that to me,
right?
Kind of thing, And so that's why I think board gaming as a hobby has appealed to me, and card gaming as a hobby has appealed to me so much, because it forces you to put you in face-to-face situations with people. When I come to leagues like this, it's people I don't know, but I'm sitting there, I'm all right, I'm playing a 2-hour game with this person, and so over the course of time, we just have a good conversation while we play. And while we're there for the game, by the end of it, we had a great conversation, and the game was just kind of the vehicle that we use to hey, I met someone new today.
Yeah, you sit down at the table with a stranger, and then after an hour, 2 hours, maybe even a marathon of 3, 4, you're coming out as friends.
Yeah,
and that's really what's all about. And that's from what I gather from Sandbox Gaming. That's the whole message there.
Yeah,
it's just creating memories.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate it. I really appreciate what you guys are doing this, and I look forward to keeping my daughter's enthusiasm, Thalia's enthusiasm in card games going, so that maybe one day I'll see her out here doing a Magic tournament.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome.
There's a lot of stores here, so
yeah, a lot of
great
opportunity.
Yeah.
Bracken, thank you so much, man.
Absolutely, Michael.
Well, that was my conversation with Bracken. The conversation continued off mic for some time, so I didn't want to take up too much of Bracken's day. So it was a relatively short interview. But I think we got a lot of information down, and you got to know the guys behind the business. And so go ahead and show him your support. I really enjoyed learning about his backstory. And you know, the fact that he, you know, growing up down the road here, in San Diego, and his love for Warhammer, his genuine enthusiasm towards the tabletop games and the business he's growing. It's so cool. It's refreshing. Bracken, all the best to you and your team over at Sandbox Gaming. If you want to get in contact with Bracken or check out the incredible products being made, visit them at mysandboxgaming.com or follow them at Instagram at mysandboxgaming. Also, thanks to Zoe from At Ease Games for being totally cool to my daughter and I when we were there. And in regards to the kids getting into tabletop games that we talked about in the discussion, Zoe did tell us that she's got a Magic the Gathering hangout for the youth practically every week. And that is an encouraging thought right there. That's really what we need to do. Kids need to be playing these kind of games. I want to see more kids like my daughter Thalia playing this game and be socializing in this game and using their imagination and using their thinking, their problem solving skills and their math skills. So once again, thank you, Zoe, and we look forward to checking that event, those classes, those hangouts down the line. So with that, let's talk to close out close out the podcast. You know, it's not only just me wanting to protect my investment. You know, you really do believe in
the heart of the cards.
The heart of the cards. Well, okay, you're going to have to explain this because I'm not an avid Yu-Gi-Oh watcher, and a lot of my listeners are probably don't even know what Yu-Gi-Oh is, but they probably will now. But what is the concept of, because we all know it's a card game, they're dueling with cards, they're shooting these cards out, and what does this mean? What does this mean, the heart of the cards? What is this credo?
Well, in this series, they explain something called the heart of the cards, which I use also. It's when you don't just take care of your cards, but you love your cards. Like, you have feeling for them. You want to keep them safe. You want to keep them in a good spot. You don't want to try to get them wrinkled or dirty or all messed up. Pretty much see them as your companions, as if they were real. Try to treat them as if they were real.
I dig it. It's also because it shows you that super, like, that uber level of responsibility in taking care of what is yours, and if you want to if you want them to perform, then you must take care of them so that they're able to perform for you. And if you learn to take care of your cards and you learn to be responsible with them and responsible with your deck and the way you manage your cards, because you're going to get a bunch of different packs and you're going to switch out cards here and there to make yourself the best deck out there to compete. So once you do that, it's a matter of taking care of them and knowing them and being aware of what you got, so that you're ready, right? So that you're able to deal the right card at the right time.
Yeah. Some people think having a strong deck means to have a lot of strong monsters and only strong monsters. That is what most people think when they hear having a strong deck. I think when people say if I have a strong deck, I think it means if you have the right mixture, I would say, like the right amount of cards. Like, you can't always just be collecting like the higher monster cards.
Because in this game, in order to get those monster cards out, you have to sacrifice a lower tier monster, and so You need to balance out your deck by having lower tier monsters. That also can be used in different ways too. They may have a flip effect where you turn them over and they have suddenly give an effect and maybe a bonus or an attack. Or then you also need spell cards or trap cards so that you can counter your opponent's attacks. Yeah. So it really is a game of strategy, and you have to think a couple of steps ahead about what if this guy has this higher card? How am I going to counter it? You're going to have that spell or trap card.
Yeah.
So it is a game that requires a lot of thinking power and you need to be aware of what of your cards.
That is true. I'm not saying that you need to sacrifice like all your weaker monsters every single turn. Sometimes the smaller monsters can actually become the most strongest monsters if you equip them with the correct spell card. And pretty much just, you don't always have to sacrifice your small monsters just because they have small levels. Sometimes you could equip them to a spell card to make them stronger.
And sometimes the best offense sometimes the best offense is a good defense.
Yeah. Right?
You know, and some of those guys usually have really good defenses. They may not have the best attack, but they have defenses. But we're getting into the weeds here of the game. Maybe Yu-Gi-Oh's not for you guys. Maybe you want to sit down with your kids or your friends or family members. You want to play different games. There's definitely games out there. We saw plenty of them at ease. You know, and this is just an example of how. How intricate these games are, but how fun and engaging they are. I didn't think I was going to like it, and I got into it. Now I want to just go back and buy a couple more booster packs and mix and match it. It's fun, and it's a great experience to have with my daughter, and I hope that you folks listening, maybe it's not card games, maybe it's board games, maybe it's just another table top game, maybe it's RPGs. Role-playing games. Maybe you play D&D. If not, maybe you're playing online or on the PlayStation or something. You're doing something with your kids or doing something with your family. It's all good. So, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks again for listening. You guys can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place. Make sure you share. If you know people who like just random conversations like we do, send them our way. And for Thalia Rivera, I am Michael Rivera. We are the Palaver Project.
As you were.